President Trump and certainly Vice President Vance have contempt for the Europeans, and they want to greatly reduce our footprint in Europe, both our military footprint and our political footprint. And they want the Europeans to provide for their own security, which of course gets to the first part of the general's discussion, which is where he is talking about the Europeans themselves coming together and creating a NATO of their own without the United States. That's what he's talking about. And that's because he understands, I think quite correctly, that the United States would like to wash its hands of its leadership position in Europe. And then the $64,000 question is whether they can do that. My sense is, and I base this on my experience watching leaders spin myths over the years, that in the beginning, people understand that what they're saying is not true and it's a myth, or it's threat inflation that's designed to mobilize public support. But then as time goes by, those same people and their successors come to believe the myths, where they can't come to believe the threat inflation to represent a real threat. And I think at first, most people understood that the Russians were not a threat to Western Europe. But it's been repeated, that argument has been repeated so many times now, that I think a lot of Europeans actually do believe that. I think they're scared. I think they're wrong. I don't think there's any danger of Russia invading Eastern Europe, much less Western Europe. I think the Russians have their hands full in Eastern Ukraine. They haven't even tried to conquer all of Ukraine. They've had a devil of a time conquering the eastern 1/5 of Ukraine. The idea that this is the Wehrmacht poised to head for the beaches at Dunkirk is just not a serious argument. But again, many Europeans now believe that.
In many respects, we're already there. I mean, I think historians in 100 years will look back and go, the Third World War started in February 2022. There are many elements that are still a phony war. I mean, we saw that at the beginning of World War II, right? That's what we're seeing in the Western Pacific. The Middle East has been at war for some time. It's going to be at war for a long time to come, I think.